I was very, very, very pleased to see Council unanimously approve the sliding scale recommendations on fare reductions for people living in poverty on Calgary Transit. This is a big deal. It means that people who are living in real extreme poverty in our city, and there are many of them, will now pay just over $5 a month to be able to have a transit pass, and this makes a huge difference in people's lives. It gets them to medical appointments, to school, to job interviews, and bringing that close to people. It also means that all of those folks who find themselves in trouble because they just got to use transit and they can't afford the fare, they get a ticket, the ticket becomes an insurmountable thing, keeping them in poverty. This is a very, very big deal. And I want to say a special thank you to the province of Alberta for, actually this is the first time they funded anything in Calgary Transit, but understanding that helping people living in poverty is a provincial responsibility, assisting us with the cost of this program. So I'm very, very, very happy that Council passed that today. It will have far more impact than anything else we're doing today.
What's your response to people who say if it's $5, why not just make it free?
Actually, there's a very real reason for that, which is just to allow people to have some value in the thing that they're doing. And the $5 helps us cover our very basic administrative costs on what it costs to do this, and we have found that applying a little bit of value to this just allows people to value it more. And I think this is something that the community, the poverty advocate community and people with disabilities have really been pushing for. So I am super happy about it. I think it's going to make a big difference for people.
So this is a sliding scale, but some have said it's kind of a boiled down version of the ideal that the city may want to get to. What's next for this?
That's right. The next step is, what do we do with working poor people who are making just above the poverty line? Because right now there's just a sudden drop off. You have your sliding scale, and then when you make the poverty line, it doubles, right? It goes from 50% discount to full price. And so our next step is to ease that transition. So for working poor people who are still not making a living wage, but who are making more than the poverty line or the LICO line, we will transition them towards a full price pass, but that's very expensive. And committee and council had to decide, do we help the working poor people or the people in abject poverty first? And the decision was to start at the bottom end of the poverty scale, and I think that was the right thing to do.
And just your reaction to more police officers?
I'm also very pleased about that. I have to tell you that in many cities, the police budget is a matter of some contention because councils are very hesitant to not give police what they want. And you'll see in Toronto, there was a recent report that actually was recommending a freezing on hiring and promotion of new officers for several years and a more than $100 million cut to the police service. We're very lucky in that we have a chief, and we've had chiefs in the past who are very thoughtful about their budgets. And I remember when I was first mayor, Chief Hansen and I had a little back and forth about this. But we really ended up in a place where they're not asking for too much, they're being very thoughtful, they've been reallocating positions towards the front line, and they're now at a point where they're like, look, we have a little more revenue, let us use it to hire police officers. And I should highlight that the revenue is not because they're writing more tickets, the revenue is because the province increased the fines. And so they have the money, they know that even if they write the same amount of tickets, they have more money than they had before, and they said, let's deploy that to the front line, and that's the right thing to do. All right, nothing on secondary suites. Come on.
Well, no, it was a very interesting and politically charged discussion.
It was like one of the best debates I've heard at council in ages.
It seemed very philosophical. What's your take on how it went? Because it seemed at the beginning, even though it was just a vote on changing the initial council decision, that some people's minds were very changed by what some councillors had to say.
I have to tell you, I was surprised, and that's one of the things I love about municipal politics and about city council, is that it's nonpartisan, and that I never know how a vote is going to go at the beginning of a meeting. So I certainly thought that vote would go the other way, and when I left my chair to make my speech, I thought, well, I'm just setting up for our next debate, our interminable next debate on this. But I think council made the right decision today in saying, look, this is our job. And our failure to be able to do something on this is something we wear. And rather than spend $400,000 trying to outsource our failure, we're going to try and deal with it ourselves. So let's see if we can move this afternoon. I suspect, well, I shouldn't say what I suspect because I was wrong this morning.